Hey there, Spencer.
Hello.
Um, I just watched a little short film called Save Ralph, and I know that we live in a world with a lot of injustice, and there's a lot of things that shouldn't be that are. But aren't we all pretty united in animal testing being this archaic, barbaric practice that nobody should do anymore?
I think we are. I think most people certainly feel that way. I feel like a lot of these horrible practices that go on. There's a real disconnect between what happens and reality, what happens, and the perception of what's going on. I think a lot of people are surprised this is still happening, and it's very much still happening in all around the world. So yeah, this stuff is horrible, and it's still going on, and it pisses a lot of people off, and it's just wrong. It shouldn't happen anymore.
What is the is there a profit motive for animal testing, or is it cruelty for its own sake? Because that's what it looks like. There has to be other ways of seeing if something is bad for your eyes, right?
There's definitely better ways. There's better ways that are more specific to the needs. Animal testing doesn't work. It's it's it started in the 40s. It's just outdated, and it's cruel, and it's pointless, and and it needs to change. We need to change laws in order to stop it.
I think there's a lot of would-be activists there who there's a disconnect between things that they find tangible and things that are just ideas. Like you hear about every once in a while, there's a someone who goes, "Huh, paternity leave is actually a good idea now that I have a kid."
Right.
Um, and I don't know. Tell me about putting a face, a human, if you will, face onto this, these creatures that are being tortured for no good reason.
Well, the thing is, HSI, the Humane Society International, they're really the experts on all the ins and outs of this stuff. I'm not an expert, but what I do know is what you know. Um, and I know it's horrible, and I really wanted to do something to create an awareness and to do my part, really. Um, I love animals. I stopped eating them about 8 years ago. I once I made the connection, I kind of, it was impossible to do anything but sort of look out for them. And the Humane Society was looking for a new campaign to help create awareness. And and anytime I felt like I saw the reality of what they do to these animals, I think that the general reaction is to look the other way. And so it's very hard to connect and to tell that story without people just sort of going, I don't want to know. That's kind of a common reaction. And so I kind of thought, well, how do you tell this story in a way? And I think you sort of, it's almost like tricking the audience a little bit, like let them fall in love with this character Ralph. And then, as you sort of invest in him, you slowly get to know more and hear his story. And hopefully it affects you in a way where you want to do something about it.
Now, I imagine that, with someone like Taika Waititi and you've got a lot of other big names who are attached, that they probably went, I don't know, I'm not interested. Give me $5 million and I'll think about it. Or was that not the case?
No, that wasn't the case. Everybody who came on really believed in the cause and wanted to help. And so, yeah, it was really kind of amazing that everyone we asked basically said yeah. So it was kind of a dream come true. Um, but again, it's such a horrendous practice that's happening that it's sort of, I think it'd be hard to find someone that doesn't want to do something.
It sounds like common sense legislation, and in a lot of cases it has been, but I believe that there's, I don't know if you can speak to this, but places where, animal testing is banned, but it happens anyway.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think Humane Society are really the experts on the in and outs of that, and but I do know that it's still happening in 4 out of 5 countries.
Mm.
It's very prominent, and it should just not be allowed. Period. And the goal is to end it everywhere.
I think a big thing that this film does is that it draws the line. I think that there are a lot of people who don't understand what the line is, or if there's even a line. They go, "Oh, well, I mean, you eat chicken, don't you? You eat." Some people eat rabbit, and it's, you kill an animal and eat it, and that is incredibly different from torturing an animal for no good reason, which is what this is.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting argument. I don't know how different it is. I
Mm.
think in a way, people rationalize eating animals, um, but they're still being, tortured and killed, and they're living beings that want to live, and um, because we like the way they taste, does that make it okay?
Mm.
I don't think so. Um, so I don't know. I think they're very similar, but for some reason, I think this is easier to get people to wrap their heads around. But it's equally not okay, and we're brought up drinking cow's milk and eating meat, and it's considered normal. But when you take a step back, it's we don't have to do it. The other thing I always think it's interesting, and this is sort of a different point, but people say, well, where do you get your protein? And I always think about, well, have you ever seen a horse? They're these big, strong animals. Where do they get their protein? They eat grass. So, yeah. Anyway, I think they're similar. They're similar points, but this is just easier to wrap your head around and connect the dots.
Yeah, I mean, kind of further to that point, and it's kind of we're not sponsored or anything, but my mother, who is vegetarian, introduced me to Beyond Meat and Beyond Sausage and Beyond Meatballs, and I had it, and I could not tell the difference. And I've been a big meat eater in my life, and I've just, while you were talking, I was taking stock and was like, I haven't had very much meat at all in the past month, just because the plant-based alternatives are at that level. I don't know if it's funny, she doesn't eat those because it reminds her of meat, and she's just past, she's so much she's so far beyond where I am
Right.
on that journey. But I don't know where, if you don't mind my asking about your own diet and journey towards being respectful to animals in that way. Where
Yeah.
are
I
you
mean,
now?
yeah. Well, so I've been vegan for 8 years, and I don't miss it, and I think I love the taste of meat. And then again, once I made the connection between the animals and what I was doing, I just couldn't do it anymore. And there's so many great alternatives. And, I think the other thing that I feel like, since I stopped eating meat, I've actually been a lot healthier, because um, I'm more aware of what I'm eating and trying to get a more balanced meal. And so I end up eating a little more of everything, but I eat a lot of vegetables, and you know, I try to not eat a lot of processed stuff. And it's a weird thing, because also when I first started eating that way, I just felt better. You just wake up and you feel better. And I think it's kind of like, drinking alcohol or doing drugs. You go, well, why do you do that? And it goes, well, it makes me feel good. Okay, well, eating healthy and eating plant-based and not hurting animals makes me feel good. And the beauty is, there's no, with some of those other things, it comes with a lot more. But eating healthy is just good for everybody. It's good for the planet. It's good for the animals. It's good for you. So it's actually quite easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've noticed in my life when I've changed my diet, and I've always been up and down personally on that whole spectrum. But when I switch over from, fast food and trash, I realize how programmed I've been by, you know, chemicals and processing and stuff that I don't really understand. But when I'm off of it, I go, wow, I really do. This is a night and day. I feel so much better. And I think that that's just one element of just having respect towards animals, which is what this short film, which is beautiful, and we'll jump back into it, but it just asks viewers to respect animals the way they would respect any other living thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's simply about connecting the dots. I think 99.999% of people are good. They want to do the right thing, and they will. And I think if they understand it in a way that makes sense to them, they'll do the right thing. If you can buy makeup that isn't tested on animals and doesn't cause pain and suffering and death, why would you? Why would you buy the alternative? And I think it's really nice that it seems though people are paying attention. And I've heard a lot of people going, wow, I'm going to go look in my medicine cabinet and look at the ingredients in some of the stuff I'm using. And so it's really nice to make that connection. And I think if people, when they're shopping and just living life and in general, having that awareness, and I think it'll make a difference.
um Absolutely. I think that you're doing really important work that is also um, just stunning to look at. Tell me, uh, I suppose it would be a different type of, animal issue if you had a taxidermied rabbit on strings. But
Mhm.
tell me about creating the visuals of this project.
Well, so I wanted to do stop motion, which is such a great technique to, bring things to life that aren't, and it's such an amazing world. The other thing that's so great about stop motion versus like computer generated images is it's tactile, it's real, like it exists. So I always think about it like ET, like growing up and watching ET and falling in love with ET. There was no doubt that he existed because he did. And he was something tangible and tactile and that they filmed, and therefore you believed it. So I always like the idea of kind of keeping things sort of in camera and real. And so we went to Andy Gent, who's just the greatest puppet maker, world builder, and he's just the greatest guy. And he brought on his team and did it through his studio, and they created Ralph, the puppet, and built the sets. And Tobias Foraker is an animator who came on and animated. And yeah, and it was quite a process. The whole thing took about a year to make, with a lot of just figuring out the design of Ralph, designing the sets, building the puppet, and then the shoot. Yeah, on a good day we'd shoot about 4 seconds a day.
Wow.
So when you think about it, it's just so time consuming, because stop motion is, you take a photo, one photo, and then you move the puppet just a little bit, take another photo. And so 24 photos equals 1 second of time. So, and if you think about every time you move it, it takes a few minutes, 5 minutes, sometimes more, because you're moving his fingers, his head, his eyes. It just takes a long time, this process. But it's so satisfying when you play it back. After a few hours, you play it back and you just, see like a half a second, and it is moving and he starts to come to life, and you totally disconnect from the process and you see this thing come to life. And it's really a cool feeling.
Yeah, I think something about like you can't make a movie unless you love movies and you love the act of making them. I imagine that that's like times 24 for stop motion. I'm thinking of Parks and Recreation. Was it Requiem for a Tuesday? That little bit. But
I I think it's true. I think it's, you really have to love it, because it is I don't want to say it's grueling work, because it's fun work, but it's exhausting work, and it's a marathon, and you're tired, and the other thing like that was challenging about this was, because of COVID, it was all done remotely. So I was working with Tobias and Andy and Tristan Oliver, who's our DP. They're all based in the UK. When I started the project, I was in LA. So my day would start at about midnight. And then we'd, be on a Zoom call till late in the night. And then about halfway through, I moved to Australia. So I'm in Australia now. So I was sort of juggling between LA, Australia, and UK time. So anyway, I guess what I'm saying is, I didn't end up getting much sleep for quite a long time. And you sort of, the adrenaline and the excitement and the fun of it just kind of keeps you going. But you have to be that excited about it, or you just putter out.
Sure. Well, I mean, it shows in the finished product. It's beautiful. It's heart-wrenching. I think anyone who watches it will, even if they turn it on kind of, oh, here's a short film, little, to reconfirm what I already know. Just it's so real, it's so human, it's so well made and beautiful that I think that it's mandatory. It's mandatory viewing.
Well, thank you. I really just hope it makes it makes a difference, and we can change some laws.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing incredible work, and yeah, just thank you so much for everything that you do. Hesher was here.
He was.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there. Great film.
I think Ralph is a bit of, I think he's got a little Hesher in him. I think, yeah, I think they're come from the same cloth.
It's easy to go along with what's been done, and it's really hard to push against it, right?
Well, I think it's interesting to try and do something different. It doesn't always work, but it's sort of like gambling. You sort of got to take a chance. And even with this, I kept saying to the Humane Society how brave they were for sort of taking my lead, because it could easily have not landed, and they would have gone, well, geez. No, but I think they had a lot of faith in me and the idea, and and I just kept saying I wanted to make something where you make people feel. And again, it is a little misdirect. The beginning, you sort of suck them in, and once they kind of go, oh, he's cute. Oh, wait, what's he saying? And then you kind of punch them in the guts. They kind of go, oh, geez, I didn't see that coming. And again, I just felt like if you can make, I think with a bit of levity as well, you disarm people, and they sort of put their guard down, and it sort of allows them to then feel something. And I think that's what you want when you go to the movies. You want to feel, and I think that goes with any sort of, short films, feature films, TV. You really just want to feel things, and films are so good for that, and so I felt like if you can make somebody feel something, you could then get them to do something, and I don't know that everybody's going to be motivated to get up and sign the petition, but gosh, there's a lot of people that have, and it really does make a difference.
Yeah, and that petition is linked in the story, and I don't know it for a fact, but I know it's true that some people who watch this will make that leap into vegetarianism or veganism, and you did that. So
Well, I hope
congratulations.
so. Well, thank you. I really hope that people make the connection and just start to think about it. And I understand people eat meat but I think if you have the awareness and you maybe start to cut down a little bit, one day a week would be a great start,
Mm,
you know? Um, so yeah, I think anything we can do to be a voice for the animals and to help the planet and to help yourself. I mean, it's a win-win. There's no reason not to.
absolutely. The film is Save Ralph. The man is Spencer Susser. Thank you so much for being with
Thanks so
us.
much, Zach. Yeah, appreciate it.